back to GlassCast and WindowCast, the official podcast of the National Glass Association and its publications, Glass Magazine and Window and Door Magazine. I'm Katy Devlin, the content director for the NGA. I am so delighted to be joined by Stefanie Couch.
Hi.
Stefanie is the founder of Grit Blueprint and Build Women. She's also kind of teamed up with the NGA this year for GlassBuild as a GlassBuild Ambassador. You've probably seen her walking the floor at GlassBuild 2024 wearing a beautiful pink NGA hat. Well, certainly, for those of you who are watching on the YouTube, you can see it. But we are recording this from GlassBuild in Dallas. We are in a fantastic and fun glass enclosed podcast studio with glass from Oldcastle Building Envelope.
Got to do the podcast in a glass room, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And before we get started, just a quick shout out to our sponsors, of course, Oldcastle for the enclosure, and North American Specialty Laminators, Schott and Becca. So, you know, where I would like to start, Stefanie, introduce yourself.
Okay. So I'm Stefanie Couch. I actually have been in the building industry my entire life. So my dad had a lumber yard when I was growing up. And then once I got a little older, worked there for a long time. And then I went to a large distribution company and I worked there for about 10 years, actually building out their door division. So we manufactured and sold doors to dealers and distributors in the US. And that's really, I cut my teeth in the glass door millwork industry, windows, all those things, and loved it. And then I started my own business about 2 years ago with my husband, and we have Grit Blueprint, which is an agency. We actually help people scale and grow their businesses in the construction and building glass industry. And then we have Build Women, which is a women's leadership company for the industry. So we are excited about all the things that are happening. I love doing things like this event, speaking, talking to all these amazing people. It's probably the most fun that I get to have in my, there's a lot of business stuff that goes on that you have to do that's a little boring. This is the opposite of that, and I love it.
You are also one of the most tech-savvy folks in our business, I think, and social media savvy. You were speaking at the Glazing Executives Forum on Monday. You delivered a general session about really using technology to build your company, build your brand, draw on people. For folks who weren't at the forum, can you provide one or two top takeaways?
Sure. One thing that I have kind of come to believe the last few years is that everyone has some pretty leveling factors in business, right? Most places have capital investments. They can buy trucks, they can buy facilities, they can even buy machineries, and obviously some people have more than others. And we all have similar product availability. Some people have better than others, but it's kind of a level playing field, to be pretty frank. Mm-hmm. People have different things, but the true competitive advantages in business, in my opinion, in this industry specifically, are people and technology. And if you can win on those two things and also combine those two things, so how do you level up your people with using technology? Then that's how you win, you gain market share, and you really can have a true competitive edge. Those are the things that I think go into that. People help your customer experience. They help your time to delivery, all of these things that are real, true competitive advantages. And then technology, it doesn't replace people. So a lot of people talk about AI and they're like, ooh, you know, it's going to take all these jobs away. I believe that it's going to help people that use it be stronger and use it as leverage. So Warren Buffett talks a little bit about business. The number one thing in business that helps you is leverage. Mm-hmm. And technology is a type of leverage that we can use in our business. So if you consider it that way, it's not replacing people. It's taking the jobs that we can't fill anyway, the huge gaps where people don't want to do those jobs, and allowing them to go do the things they really can do only as humans. Mm-hmm. And so we technologically are advancing what they can do. So it's a win-win on both sides. And I think growing that level of people, especially with Gen Z and millennials that love technology, they want to use technology as a generation. That's a generalization for sure. But if we take those people and we help them learn how they can use those tools, it's amazing. I was walking the floor yesterday and actually a young man named Josh stopped me. Such a congenial gentleman. He had been in the industry only 8 months. He was he actually had worked in the industry as a tech person, but he's now in sales. And he was at BEC. And he stopped me and said, "Oh, your talk on AI at BEC, I've been doing this and this." And he's done all this stuff in like the last 6 months. And I think it's really cool because one time he was just sitting in a room thinking about something, and now he's leveraging it in his business. He's written programs, all this cool stuff. I was like, wow, you like really you got the notes on that one. He's killing it. So kudos to him. And I think there's a lot more people out here that can do that. Also knowing that you don't have to be a tech whiz to use these technologies to leverage in your business. You can implement 1 or 2 very simple tools that completely change the game for you and your team.
So you've been walking the floor, obviously meeting tons of folks.
Yeah.
Tell me some of the most interesting interactions you've had with people, the most exciting technologies you've seen.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that I love is taking jobs, like we said, that you have 8 or 9 people usually on a line, and now you can run a machine with 1 person. And it takes a minute to get a window out. That's huge because you can't find the 10 people to put on the line easily anyway.
Sure.
It's not like, oh, well, we say now we don't have to employ these 9 people. It's just put them somewhere else. And so I've seen a lot of technology walking around that's, I've been asking, hey, how long does it take to run this all the way through? What are the advantages of this? The safety advantages are also huge, that you're not using your hands to do these things. You're not having to lift things and have all these strain injury types or cuts or all these different things that we have in the glass industry that can happen. Those are almost eliminated because of this machinery, and then those people can spend a lot of time doing the things only they can do. So I love the tech. The machinery is one of my favorites because it's huge. And GlassBuild truly is one of the best shows I've seen because you guys let them bring this actual machinery here on the floor. I was at my glass truck booth yesterday riding their tricycle that they had. I didn't hit anyone. I did a great job not hitting any of the pillars that I was driving around. I was pretty proud, but they are helping people be safer. They're not having to, break this glass and lift all these things. And it's just a really cool way to innovate the industry. So I think there's technology out there that it's right in front of you. That's not so crazy. Like it's just right there on the floor. You can see it, touch it, feel it. And then you're like, hey, this is how I can implement this into my business. Where it's hard to think about that just from a pamphlet or a flyer or a website. But if you're walking the floor, seeing it, touching it, feeling it, it's a whole different experience. So if you haven't been to GlassBuild and you haven't been to one of these shows to actually experience it, this one is unlike anything else I've ever seen. And I think the other thing I will say is I do go to a lot of shows. There is a real energy at this show. Yesterday with the parade, there was a lot of young high school kids here. There was a drum line, just an energy that I don't think is at a lot of other shows, a buzz. So I think that's something NGA does a great job with.
Oh, I'm so glad. It has been a really fun one.
It has.
So we just wrapped up the 3rd iteration of our Women in Glass and Fenestration event. You actually spoke at that last year, did just a terrific talk. And I know you and I have talked, so today's focus was all about mentorship. You and I have talked about that quite a bit as well. Tell me about your experience with being a mentee and being a mentor.
Yeah, so I feel pretty confident that I've honed in on the 3 things that have made the biggest difference in my career and hopefully will help other women. And a lot of that goes back to mentorship or being a good mentee listening. But the 3 things are experience. So I find that that's the one women struggle with the least. So women are hard workers. They show up. They do all the things plus extra on Saturday and Sunday. Their moms, their wives, their, volunteers. They're doing everything. We do everything as women. And so the experience part, usually they're not struggling on that. They've gone almost too far sometimes to get into the weeds where they can't let go because of that perfectionism. I know I personally struggled with that a lot in my early career for sure. But the 2 other pillars of that are relationships, which goes back to mentorship and having a mentor, having networking, doing all of this building that will help you get to where you want to go. Women historically build relationships. We have a lot of people in our lives, but we do not leverage them. So going back to what is the most important thing in business is leverage. That's true in relationships as well. So we know people and we talk to them, but when it comes time to ask them for something, we are really bad at that. very bad. We think, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to put myself out there and possibly get rejected. Where most of the time, men are like not even thinking about what if I get rejected, or well, what if I'm putting them in a disadvantage by asking them for something and they don't want to. They can just say no. And you can just say no, just like anybody else. If someone asks me for something and it's not a good fit for my company, or I don't have time, or I can't do it, I can say, I really appreciate the offer, but I can't do that right now. Thank you so much for asking, though, and move away. Women don't see that as an option. They see like nuclear fallout happening if I ask for something and get told no, or even not yet. They just would rather not ask. So they don't leverage and build relationships. So that's the second pillar. And the third pillar really is visibility. And visibility also comes from building a network, but it comes from putting yourself out there. So today in the speech, Nicole referenced not asking or speaking your work. And that is the number one thing that I find women struggle with, is they don't want to be seen because they're afraid if they're seen, then they'll be seen, right? So I know that sounds crazy when you say it, but they don't want to go to their boss, their manager, their company and say, here's what I'm working on right now. Here's what I would love to see happen in the next year. How can I get there? That is the thing. So personal branding is something I'm very passionate about. And really all that is being seen. It's gaining and building visibility for you and your brand. But what I think is a little bit missed on people is they think you have to be an influencer to do that. If you want to get a pink hat and wear it, you can, but you don't have to, right? You can do it your way. And so I think that's the cool part, is build your brand with your strengths, with your experience, leverage your relationships, and that's how you start to grow your career or your business. Whether you're a man or a woman, that formula works. Women just struggle with those two pillars a lot because they don't want to feel like they're showing off or they're asking for too much. So if you can leverage your brand, then what actually happens is it helps your company, because people get 561% more engagement than company logos. If you post something on LinkedIn, you're going to get a lot more engagement as a person because of the algorithm, but also because of how people feel about people, than if NGA posted. That's just true. And you can have way less followers and still get more engagement than a company post. So people miss that a little bit. So you gaining a personal brand as a person actually does help your company. And that's true for men and women. But I find that it's especially true for women who struggle to find their voice. If you can just share a little bit at a time, you'll get more confident. And then you'll also have other people supporting you. So I think that's the top takeaway for me, is have your expertise, but do not stop there. Build your relationships and leverage them, and then gain visibility in your circle and hopefully beyond to leverage all three of those stool legs. It's like a stool. One without the other does not stand. That's how you build your career.
Yeah. Stefanie, what's coming up next for you?
So next week I'm speaking at the World Millwork Alliance. I'm doing 3 talks there. That's actually in San Antonio. So that's another door, window, millwork type industry event. I'm really excited about that. And then I have some big stuff coming in 2025. So helping people build their personal brands, more women's events, and then helping companies gain and grow that market share that we're talking about with technology and with branding and marketing that actually stands out. Because I think there's very few people that do a really great job in our industry of consistently showing up that way. So it doesn't take a lot to win here. It's just a little bit of, pointed execution and strategy. So that's what I'm helping people with, and I'm really excited about 2025. I feel like it's going to be a really fun year.
Where can people find you?
So I have a website, StefanieCouch.com, which shows basically all of the stuff that I'm doing put into one. And then I'm on LinkedIn, often talking about different things. And so if you follow me and connect with me on LinkedIn, if you're listening to this, send me a little message and just say, hey, listen to the podcast with Katy. I would love to talk to you. I love talking to people in this industry. It's such a great place to be. And just amazing, like really great people, salt of the earth people that I get to meet here, which is my favorite thing about it.
Thank you so much for being here at GlassBuild. Thank you for collaborating with us a little bit on the show, and for speaking at the event. It's always wonderful to see you.
Thank you for having me. I love being with you, and I love NGA, so thank you so much.
So, again, this is GlassCast and WindowCast. We are here at GlassBuild America 2024 in the GlassBuild Podcast Studio, brought to you by Oldcastle Building Envelope, North American Specialty Laminators, Schott and Becca. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.